If we want to teach volleyball honestly, we have no choice but to look over the shoulders of the best. And where better than at the World Championship or the Olympics, where the global elite gathers on one court and shows how the game has evolved again. In the previous episode, we focused on the work of the hitting arm, taking inspiration from two top attackers of the last championship, Nikolov and Michieletto. But let's be honest, it would be a shame to stop there. There were plenty of exceptional players at the tournament, so today we'll look at what we can learn from them regarding the attack approach. After all, what happens before the hit is sometimes just as important as the hit itself, don't you think?
From previous episodes, we already know why the second to last step is called the breaking step. So much is negotiated in that moment. The thighs, glutes, a soft ankle, and even the subtle big toe. It's a step that slows you down and instead of sending you forward, launches you upward. Landing with the right foot on the heel is meant to guide the direction of the approach. With a proper long step, both ankle and knee pass through it calmly, without resistance. But as soon as the second to last step ends on the toes instead of the heel, the knee twists, the takeoff suffers, and the crucial braking effect disappears. But we'll return to that later. It needs to be said again, as we've said before. The animated clips are not here to blame anyone, but to highlight execution errors. Mistakes belong primarily in training, in a face-to-face conversation with a young player, where they can be gradually and calmly corrected. Exposing them publicly so someone feels singled out is not our intention. Mistakes are a natural part of the journey. We just have to handle them with care and empathy.
In these clips, we observe the mentioned error, landing on the toes, but also the opposite extreme, when the approach is no longer an actual approach, but more of a polite walk to the takeoff spot. The result is an approach lacking spark, and a jump that lacks the necessary power. And the hitter truly needs that energy from the approach, as clearly demonstrated in the World Championship footage, where nothing great happens in attack without it.
And we hurry back to training, reminding ourselves, as already mentioned in episode 71, that good spiking isn't just about technique. It's also about strength and explosiveness. These must be developed daily, even if, at first, it's not about weights in the gym, but about a solid conditioning foundation.
And then we have the arm swing again. There's a quiet rule here. The stronger the arm swing, the longer the breaking step, and vice versa. The arms trigger the legs, and the legs respond to the arms, as if quietly coordinating their teamwork. The Czech national team player Jan Galabov, seen at the World Championship, proves our point, as does our familiar face from the previous episode, Italy's star Michieletto.
And in the animations here, we already see the opposite. Potential deficiencies. Either the arm swing is short, usually accompanied by a short penultimate step and weak approach dynamics, or the arms can't coordinate. Each swings in its own way, or one works while the other merely observes.
In every episode about spiking, we consistently emphasize the position with the left hip facing the net. It's not a whim, but a necessity. Only this way can the upper body rotate effectively from right to left. Everything is determined by the position at takeoff, as we clearly see in the case of the Polish player León. It's an almost ruthless rule. The right half of the body must be positioned further from the net so that rotation can properly contribute to the power of the hit. This is confirmed by more footage from the latest World Championship. It even applies to opposite hitters who attack from the right and jump inward into the attack zone. In the final step, they too need to turn the left foot, even if slightly less than left side hitters. And naturally, our patron Georg Grozer is never missing from our series.
The mentioned rule also applies in situations where the spiker only has a short approach, such as during a counterattack. It still holds completely true.
Now let's shine a light on the mistakes. The main issue is that young players don't rotate their left foot and place it pointing in the direction of the right foot. This results in two major flaws. First, the body doesn't rotate with the left side toward the net, as we've been discussing, and second, the deceleration of forward motion and the upward redirection of the body's movement is not completed.
A textbook example of breaking movement using the tilt of the left foot is once again demonstrated by Jan Galibov, who impressed with his textbook technique already in his youth. And as it often happens, this diligent work now pays off richly. So everything falls neatly into place in the complete picture of a spiker's approach. The penultimate step with the right foot is long and lands on the heel, while the last step lands on the toes, rotating the body so the left side faces the net. But once the balance between these two steps is off, problems begin to arise. Sometimes the first step is short, and the second compensates by landing on the heel instead of the toes. The body then moves forward instead of upward, often into the net. Even worse is the scenario where the first step is short, the second long with a heel landing, and the takeoff happens from only one leg. That's an approach that doesn't sync well with a proper jump.
So far, it's a clear message for volleyball training. Even though we can spot slight variations in World Championship footage depending on whether the attack is from the right, the left, the front, or the back, the proportions of the approach steps remain consistent. And on that, the world's elite silently agrees.
In fact, as we can see here, a player starts a two-step approach even in situations where he doesn't end up receiving the ball. It's his teammate who attacks. The approach is simply prepared before the actual opportunity arises. And one more small but interesting detail. The same approach, ending with the left side facing the net, must be executed even in more difficult situations. For example, when the spiker receives in the middle of the court and launches left without time for a curved approach. That makes the final two steps and the correct rotation all the more critical. Or another, even more difficult situation. After defending, the spiker has to move across the entire width of the court and still manage to finish the approach as cleanly as in the previous example.
We've reached the end. While in the previous episode we discussed small evolutionary changes in the spiking motion, like the so-called circle arm swing, the approach itself remains loyal to the tried and tested, almost conservative model of recent years, and so far it seems to be the most effective.